So this is kind of what we're talking about. That we kind of advocate for ranked choice because, again, there's historical data that shows that it works. It's used contemporarily successfully. There's a growing movement behind it. So it's a really good thing to kind of focus on for activism work and for public education. To kind of throw in some more terminology, ranked choice is sometimes known as instant runoff voting because, again, since you're expressing these preferences, you're able to move votes and automatically when you're counting ballots, you're able to move votes and determine who the winner is instead of having to hold a second round of elections or anything, right? So sometimes it's referred to by that term instead. As I said, research has shown that ranked choice tends to elect more compromised candidates that much more broadly reflect the views of voters. Although when it comes to legislative seats, there's kind of an upgrade to this that we'll talk about in a moment. And another aspect of research that's been shown is that ranked choice actually tends to result in more friendly elections. And what I mean by that is the candidates themselves tend to focus more on policy when they run in ranked choice vote elections, because they're all fighting to get your number one vote, or okay, you might choose some other candidate, but okay, I want to be your number two vote. And voters don't like it when, generally speaking, don't like it when candidates go negative and go on attack against other candidates. They want to see you talk about policy and be that kind of diplomat, political leader, right? That's able to work with people and stuff like that. So that when you have to actually compete for votes and compete for a first or a second or a third slot on that vote, it tends to encourage the candidates to stick to issues and policy and real discussion instead of our current system, which is so driven by fear, right? That spoiler effect and all, it's so driven by fear that, like Chris was saying earlier, people tend to vote against something instead of for something. In ranked choice, you would vote for a policy because that's what the debate's about. In our current plurality system, it tends to become voting out of fear that the other candidate is going to do something really scary or be really bad. And so, ranked choice by scientific research, by studies, has been shown to result in more issues-based elections. So aside from the fact that we want to promote independent candidates and all, it would just really give us better elections in general.
And when you think about, how that negative voting plays out, right? Like look at 2020. During 2020's election, the polling data showed that over 90% of Democrats supported Medicare for all. Yet they voted for a candidate that said he would veto it if it was passed.
Right.
The same goes for serious climate issues. The same goes for marijuana legalization. The same goes for humane immigration reform. Right? These are all issues that Democrats feel very strongly, but most Democratic voters voted against their own interests on those issues because they were voting against Trump, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they voted against Trump, which was cast as a vote for Biden, and in doing so, they voted for a candidate that was opposed to Medicare for all, a candidate that was the vice deporter in chief and is now, striving for the claim of the new deporter in chief on immigration. They voted for a longtime pro-fossil fuels candidate, right? We just lost Roe versus Wade. They voted for a candidate that bragged for most of his career about trying to let states overturn Roe, right? And so when we have, and oftentimes, people say, oh, ranked choice voting is too complicated. You'll hear arguments like that it's not functionally. Our current voting system is not functioning, right? And we can look at, not to give any credence to the things that the Stop the Steal people are saying, right? But there's a large portion of our country that doesn't trust our current election system. And so it's clearly not working. That kind of claim that, ranked choice voting is too complicated, it would confuse people, they're very empty critiques when you look at the reality of the voting system that we have now and its abject failure.